Okay, maybe that doesn't. Okay, so this next section is the 10 guiding principles for change. This is a pretty short section. We are talking about change as a permanent fixture in the business landscape. Three major hurdles that the article talks about when you're implementing a big change is the change fatigue, too many transitions at once, too much stuff going on. Again, you remember the switch chapter where there's a lot of exhaustion from change. The rider gets very tired, and so we've got to manage that. Floundering change, not well thought out and reversed. So we get all the way down here and we decide, okay, it's not working the way we thought. We've got to go back. And then unaided C-suite initiatives. So limited buy-in from the frontline people. So the article really talks about how to get people on board, how important that is with frontline people. And so these C-suite initiatives, which of course, it's very important that the C-suite, not only be bought in, but lead it, but it doesn't mean it has to start and stop there. So this is the only slide. So this is going to take a few minutes to get through, but this is it. So it'll be shorter. So lead with culture. Address resistance and leverage support. So culture has a lot to do with change. Sometimes we're trying to change the culture, and we need to address what's holding us back. We need to be able to say, this is the part of our culture we're going to change. This is what we're going to be doing differently. Or if there are pieces of our culture that are really supportive of the new change, we want to make sure we bring that out so people have something to grab hold of. There's that emotional elephant piece of it for us. So the culture is always a really important thing to begin with. Start at the top. Executive alignment is key. This is one of those things where without executive alignment, of course, you have potentially large divisions that aren't implementing the change, that are potentially holding back the rest of the organization. So while C-suite, the C-suite is very important, we also need to go into those top executive lines and make sure that those key executives understand what they're going to do and what's expected of them. There was a little story about an executive retreat where the executives were taken off site and went through a day of learning and really understood what was, what they thought the change was about, what the change was really about, and kind of, filling in those gaps so that everybody knew where they were going. And then number 3, involve every layer within the company. So mid-level and frontline employees can make or break a change effort. And there's lots of knowledge about potential glitches and customer responses in those mid-level and frontline people. So especially like when you're talking about a change that's going to affect customers, your sales organization, your sales managers, they're going to know a lot about how customers are going to react to something. And it's important to understand that, because at the end of the day, if the change doesn't positively affect our customer base, we've really lost, we've lost the battle. So make the rational and emotional cases together. So here we are engaging the rider and the elephant together. So we want to make sure people understand, why are we doing this, from the standpoint of, rational decision making. We're not making enough money. We've got to change the cost structure. We've got to do this or that and the other thing. But then we also need an emotional case as well, so people can get behind it. We want our company to be, one of the best companies to work for, 100 best companies to work for, or like one of the stories from the Switch book, that institutional investor. We want to make sure people understand, the heart and soul of the change, as well as maybe the accounting side of it. 5, act your way into new thinking. Change is more than words on paper. So there was an example given in this about HP tearing down the fences around the executive parking lot and putting key executives into cubicles instead of big offices, to really get back to that beginning HP culture where it was really all about innovation, regardless of your position within the company, and they wanted to bring that back. So actions are very important, especially at the executive level, even the CEO level. So if you're trying to make your company more approachable, more in tune, more getting to better customer service, having the CEO walking around to be present, to be one of those people that is approachable and and human, helps the rest of the organization to understand that we can't hide behind walls and behind doors and things like that. We've got to kind of reach out and be part of our community and with our customers. Let's see, engage, sustain communication. So this was one of the key things that we have to continue to communicate about the change. This isn't about a one meeting, one speech. We've got to continuously communicate what we want, how we're doing. If we've got a gap between where we are and where we want to be, what is that all about, and what do we need to get over it? So communication is going to be really important during a change effort, because people really want to understand what they're doing right and what needs to continue to change. Lead outside the lines. Engage informal leaders with personal power. They are called the special forces. So there are different types of power within an organization. There is positional power, people like the CEO, the CFO, the managers, the vice presidents, people who have titles that go along and say, they are above me, these people report to them, they're in charge of this. That is positional power. There are people within the organization that have personal power. So they may not have a title at all, but they may be highly respected. Maybe they've been with the company for a long time. Maybe they're a super successful salesperson or something like that. But for whatever reason, these people are highly respected. And it's really important that they get on board with the change, because it can, kind of topple it over when people go to their mentors or, these informal leaders, and they say, just wait it out, the guy will leave, we've had three CEOs in the last 9 years, just wait it out. So we want to make sure that those informal leaders are on board as well. Leverage formal solutions, so training, reward system development. This is really important. There were a couple stories in there that they asked people to get on board and help, and they did. They did this big training thing, and then when it came to bonus time, they didn't get a bonus. And so, it was very outside of, what that change was all about. So if we want to go back to, only the top guys get a bonus and I can work as hard as I can and nothing changes, those are empty promises. And you've got to make sure that, basically you put your money where your mouth is when you want change to occur. So reward systems have to be changed and updated to make sure that they are rewarding the behavior that we want going forward. And training and development also needs to be updated to make sure that we're getting what we need from these mechanisms. And then informal solutions is really more about, they had the example, ship no matter what kind of a thing, and they changed it to, if it's not right, don't ship it. And this is really about changing the culture, changing, embedded things within the culture that that really drive behavior, and making sure that people understand that it is different now, and we want you to step up, we want you to be accountable and take responsibility for our products and our message and the way that we treat our customers, and you've got to change even the informal things within the organization that are keeping you from moving forward. And assess and adapt. Don't assume victory. So constantly measure where you are and where you need to go, and reassess. As you get through these change processes, and potentially adapt the training, adapt the message, adapt whatever it is, that the reward system, because you've missed something, right? So don't assume just because one piece of it, goes through, and yeah, we've been able to, change the software in the customer support center, and we're getting, less time on the phone with customers, less complaints. So that's great, but it might just be one layer of the change that needs to take place. Maybe the system itself is making that change for you, but the people behind it are, they haven't really changed. So you've got to constantly look at where you are, where you want to be, and what you need to do in order to get there. So that is it. That is the end of 10 principles. So we'll come back with the next section. Thanks.